I really need you guys to thumbs up this video because YouTube don't be liking this kind of teaching, girl. YouTube don't be liking this kind of teaching, guys. So I need y'all to thumbs up this video. Every time it's time for some truth and justice around this bitch, YouTube like to get stupid. They like to shadow ban. So I need you guys to thumbs up this video. This is a very, very, very important video. It's a very important discussion. It's a lot going on, and I need you guys to definitely support the stream with your thumbs up. Liking the video not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you are thumbing up the video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another conscious crew member and telling them to get their asses into the goddamn sanctuary, because the king is in fact kanging, baby. And at the rate in which the powers that be are trying to seize the kingdom through violence, baby, we all need to be on code, and we all need to be deeply and profoundly informed. All right. Shout out to all I love the new subbies. I see you guys piling in, baby. We headed toward that old nasty piece of 47K solid in the building. I couldn't have did it without y'all. Thank you guys so much. If you're new here, definitely subscribe. We do it all here. We roast, we gag, we get into the trendy topics, the celebrity gossip, the tea spilling. We also get into very, 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 very deep discussions about society, about spirituality, about consciousness, about the future, about God, about it all, baby. Okay, so this is a multifaceted, multi-purpose platform indeed. We are not a one-trick pony like some of these raggedy hoes out here on these YouTube streets. Okay. Also, I need you guys to definitely share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your Facebook, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn where you lay the link. Just let them whores know that we're loud, live, and in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, let me speak to the conscious crew in the building. What's going on, Shauna? Hey, Jess. I did get your emails, Jess. I got everything lined up too, boo. Thank you. What's going on, Star? Hey, Rumors and Tea. What's going on, Chanel? What's going on? Hey. Hey, Shauna. Hey, Corn Silk. Hey, Whitney. What's going on? Hey, Crystal. Hey, Sin. Hey, it's Nene. What's going on, Mulaney? Hey, Food Expert. What's going on, Tasmania? Hey, let me keep on scrolling. Y'all piling in here, honey. What's going on, Fanta? Happy Sunday. Blessed Sunday. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Adora. What's going on, Purple Passion? Hey, Nikki. What's going on, Logic Bees? Hey, Prasma. Hey, Coach Leslie. What's going on? Hey, Tanika. Hey, my other sin. What's going on, Enlightening Laterra? What's going on, Kevin KC? Tanika. Hey, what's going on, Nicole? Hey, Boo. Hey, TST. Hey, Auntie Trisha, what's going on, love? Hope you're doing well. Send the light and love your way. What's going on, Tamika? Hey, Tracy. What's going on, Brother Corey? What's going on, Pretty Brown Mimi? Hey, Tracy. Hey, y'all. Oh, yeah, had to come back. Back to back. Hey, Sexy Nessa. Hey, Gabriella. What's going on? Hey, Emily. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. All right, so we got quite a bit of discussion to get into, you guys. This is probably hands down one of the most significant commentaries and live streams that I would have done this year, this far. There's a lot of moving parts to this discussion. We have the Mandate for Leadership, aka the Project 2025 Manifesto, that has, thank God, been condensed from a 900-page memo to a 41-page PDF file, thanks to a special organization by the name of democracyforward.org, who pretty much boiled the manifesto down to some key points for a comprehensive read and understanding on behalf of viewers and layman's persons. All right. So we will be reading all 41 of those pages. That's the least we can do, considering how important this discussion is and how much work these people did to pretty much shrink 900 pages worth of information into a 41-page read. Okay. But we got some preliminary stuff to get into before we even get to that. Depending on how the time looks, we may or may not do a panel on this live. But if the time is kind of a little bit over the time limit, I'll just do an after show and then I'll drop the link and then we can have the follow-up discussion, just depending on how time goes. We're going to be talking about the pandemic. There are probably going to be some very scary things that I'm going to say here this evening. I don't want you guys to be alarmed. I want you guys to be alert. I want you guys to be aware. And I'm going to have to curve my language in order to talk about some things. We're going to have to talk about the thing that lasted 2 years, the thing that was a pandemic. As a result, I want you guys to take heed to my moderator food expert who just laid out beautifully that Google gets very sensitive with words. Everybody needs to be on code, substitute cuss words. You ain't got to substitute. Well, you can substitute politician names, abbreviate them, short them, etc. But more importantly, when we get to the part where we're talking about the pandemic and we're talking about the juice that was mandated, I need you guys to block all of the commercial language and talk very much so in code. Moderators, I would need you guys not to block, but to delete any language that is not coded, especially when we get to the pandemic portion of this discussion. Also, we want to curve words like KILL and ERDR, etc. Curve that type of language as well so that Google moderator doesn't shadow ban your comments, because once Google moderator gets involved, my mods nor I have the power to undo that. All right. So moderators, please keep all of the conscious crew members who will be coming in, piling in as this live stream goes on. Keep them up on game, please. And last but not least, we do have tea on top of tea popping off tomorrow, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be hosted on Voodoo Doll Reacts YouTube channel. If you guys go back to last week's episode, I posted Voodoo Doll's YouTube link in the description box. So me, Voodoo Doll, Nosy Hole Live, my girl La Ju, and my boy Royce Reeves will be getting into some hot topics with you guys, having some fun, lightening up the mood, doing what we do best, okay? The hottest panel since the original TGIF situation, all right? I will also post the link to that live stream on tomorrow on the community wall. So please always check the community wall, all right? Now, the first thing I want to start off with is some updates, you guys. We have officially updated and gotten the identity of the Uter in Saturday's Pennsylvania rally that was hosted by Republican presidential nominee Donald Got Popped Trump. All right, we're going to refer to a CBS News article where we can discuss the identity. You guys know that we scourged through 7.5 hours worth of developments regarding the situation that took place yesterday. So shout out to the Conscious crew. Shout out to the street committee who was on it, baby. We were developing with the story, girl. We were loud, live, and in color, baby. We was getting our Gail Weathers on, okay? We were on the ground, baby. All right, doing the thizzle. So courtesy of CBS News, let's get into Trump rally Uter, okay, who has been identified as Thomas Matthews Crooks, 20-year-old Pennsylvania man. Here is what we know so far. The GUN men who fired shots at former President Donald Trump in an assassination attempt at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Saturday night has been identified by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was unalived by a Secret Service sniper, officials said. One audience member at the rally, Pennsylvania firefighter Corey Compatore, was unalived in the Udine, and 2 other men are in critical condition, officials said. Who was the Uter? In a statement by the FBI, quote, the FBI has identified Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the subject involved in the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July the 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. This remains an active and ongoing investigation, and anyone with information that may assist with the investigation is encouraged to submit photos and or videos online at the FBI website, or you can call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Federal investigators said the GUN man was not carrying identification, so they analyzed his DNA to provide a biometric confirmation of his identity. Crooks was from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, a Pittsburgh suburb about an hour south of Butler. The town in Allegheny County is home to about 30,000 small town ass folk and has one high school with about 1,300 students. Bethel Park School District confirmed to CBS Pittsburgh station KDKA that Crooks was a 2022 graduate at Bethel Park High School. School officials pledged to work with law enforcement investigating the Udine and offered condolences to those affected by the attack. This would be that 20-year-old. Now, you guys know yesterday we pulled up things on Twitter as it relates to live streams and commentary that Mr. Crooks had provided prior to his death. Seemed to be a very charismatic person, someone who people probably would have considered a weirdo. Gave me gamer vibes, very energetic, very much so spontaneous wild card. And this is that Uter. All right. He's also a registered Republican to make things more interesting. Former classmate Jamison Myers, a member of the school's Veracity rifle team, told CBS News that Crooks had tried out for the team freshman year, but did not make the junior Veracity roster and did not return to try out for the team in subsequent years. That would explain why he missed. He called Crooks a nice kid who never talked poorly of anyone. And he said, quote, I never have thought him capable of anything I've seen him do in the last few years. My God, can we read that statement one more time? Because I just love the way that he phrased that. I never have thought him capable of anything I've seen him do in the last few years, girl. Is Mr. Jamison Myers a goddamn slave? Moving along. Fellow classmate Summer Barkley told CBS Pittsburgh reporter Megan Skeeler that although Crooks wasn't popular, he still had a group of friends and was a good student beloved by teachers. She said she didn't see any red flags that would lead her to believe that he would do something like this. You know, aside from his general hate for the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Another classmate, Jason Kohler, had a somewhat different view, telling Steeler that Crooks was a loner who was bullied relentlessly for his appearance and wore camo hunting outfits in class. He said Crooks would often sit in the cafeteria alone before class. He also said Crooks was very much so Carisha-19 conscious and wore a surgical mask long after they were required. Crooks graduated from the Community College of Allegheny County in May of 2024 with an associate in science degree in engineering science. A spokesperson for the college confirmed to CBS News. Crooks also worked at Bethel Park Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center as a dietary aide, according to the facility's administrator. Crooks also had a membership at a nearby GUN club for at least a year. Bill Salato, the president of the Clairton Sportsman Club in Clairton, Pennsylvania, told CBS News that Crooks was a member. Quote, we can confirm that Mr. Crooks was a member of the Clariton Sportsman Club. Beyond that, the club is unable to make any additional commentary in relation to the matter in light of pending law enforcement investigations. Saleto said in a statement, obviously the club fully admonishes the senseless act of violence that occurred yesterday. A law enforcement source noted that at the time of the outing, the GUN men was wearing a shirt that apparently read Demolition Ranch, a popular GUN-related YouTube channel with over 11 million subscribers. We might check that out after this. What was his motive? Quote, we do not currently have an identified motive, said Kevin Rodgick, FBI Pittsburgh special agent in charge at a briefing late Saturday night. A law enforcement official said early Sunday that there are no foreign terrorism ties known at this time, and the suspect was not on the radar of law enforcement, although they are still running his name down. There was also no indication that Crooks ever had a connection to any military branch, officials confirmed to CBS News. Crooks' political leanings were not immediately clear. Records show that he was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but previously made a $15 donation to a Democratic-aligned group, KDKA reported. A law enforcement official said early Sunday that the Secret Service and the FBI are investigating the suspect's background and speaking with his family. The FBI has secured his home and federal law enforcement is searching his family's residence in suburban Pittsburgh, the law enforcement official said. A FBI official said that the family of the Uter is cooperating with investigators. FBI officials told reporters during a press call Sunday afternoon that determining the motive is the primary objective of the agency's investigation, but no ideology has been identified as a motive so far. Officials also said there was no indication of Crooks having mental health issues. All right. Crooks did have a social media presence, the FBI official said. Agents are combing through his posts and emails, but have found nothing so far that reveals a motive or anything threatening. The investigation so far has indicated that Crooks acted alone and that there is no continued threat. The agency also has Crooks' cell phone and is working to gain access to its contents. Meanwhile, the public has submitted over 2,000 tips to the FBI for examination. What weapon did he have? The GUN was armed with a semi-automatic AR-style rifle, multiple law enforcement sources said. ATF is tracing the weapon. Two law enforcement sources told CBS News on Sunday that the GUN was legally purchased by and registered to the Uter's father, Matthew Crooks. The GUN men opened fire from the roof of a shed outside of the Cordon off rally area, about 400 feet from the stage, multiple sources said. A law enforcement source confirmed Sunday that suspicious devices were found in the GUN men's vehicle. CBS News has learned the Uter had a device in his possession that appeared to be capable of triggering those suspicious devices. Bomb technicians called to the scene were involved in securing and investigating the devices. Wow. What protections were there for Trump? Trump said in a social media post that a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear. He was checked at a local hospital before leaving the area under Secret Service protection and flying to New Jersey late Saturday night. Trump's Secret Service detail was given additional assets that are part of the protocol for the presumptive nominee due to his heavy campaigning, which includes additional manpower, counter sniper, drones, and robotic dogs, the law enforcement official said. On Saturday, there were 4 counter sniper teams on site, the official said. Additionally, Trump's teleprompter is protective and the flag and podium banners are made of steel, the law enforcement official said. In a statement Sunday morning, U.S. Secret Service spokesperson Anthony, whatever the hell that last name is, said the agency recently added protective resources and capabilities to the former president's security detail, and said any suggestion that they had rebuffed a request for more security is absolutely false. The U.S. Secret Security takes threats seriously, and it takes actions based on those threats as warranted, he said. The U.S. Secret Service is constantly evaluating the very dynamic threat environment and responding to it in the fulfillment of its responsibilities, but they absolutely failed to do that in this case. The FBI is leading the investigation to the Udine. On Sunday, President Biden said that he ordered an independent review into what took place. What in the hell did witnesses see? One man who was at the rally said that the soon after Trump started speaking, he saw a man bear crawling up a building. Quote, "We're pointing at the guy," said the witness named Greg. "He had a rifle. You could literally see him with a rifle." He told the BBC that he and others told the police and were pointing him out to U.S. Secret Service agents. He estimated that the man was on the roof for 3 or 4 minutes before shots were even heard. Other witnesses told CBS Pittsburgh station KDKA that they also saw the GUN men and tried to alert officers before the Udine. So there's a lot of information, you guys. So they found all type of interesting equipment. Bomb techs were brought in. They say he was pretty much a low-key player in school, didn't cause any trouble. There is no evidence that he suffered from any mental health issues. One of his alleged friends stated that he did experience his fair share of bullying, but he wasn't disruptive. He never talked bad about anybody. He seemed to have been beloved by his teachers, which I would assume because he gives me Brainiac. His family is in full cooperation, and the AR Stout rifle was one that he retrieved from his father, Matthew Crook's possession. All right. Also, this whole ordeal regarding TMZ reporting that Trump was not hit by a bullet, but was indeed pierced by the splattered glass from the teleprompter was seemingly debunked in the CBS News article, which states that everything from the podium to the teleprompter is made out of goddamn steel. Okay. So Trump was indeed pierced and grazed like a cow's ass by a bullet. All right. Now, you guys know initially the media was not giving up a lot of details around the victims. There was one civilian who was unalived, and then there were 2 civilians who were injured. Well, there have been updates on both of those civilians, on all 3 of those civilians, courtesy of UStoday.com. Trump rally Udine victims, Pennsylvania firefighter unalived, 2 local residents also wounded. A Pennsylvania firefighter and 2 other local residents were identified as the victims in the Udine that targeted former President Donald Trump in a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Authorities on Sunday identified the person unalived as Corey I hate people's last names. Corey C., a firefighter from Sarber, Pennsylvania, who had 2 daughters and was an avid Trump supporter. That's so unfortunate. The 2 men injured in the Udine, a 57-year-old New Kingston, Pennsylvania resident and a 74-year-old resident of Moon Township, were in stable condition on Sunday, according to an update from Pennsylvania State Police. Yesterday, Tom Stott said Allison, who I assume would be his wife, the victim's daughter on Facebook, quote, "And when it started again, my family and I started living a real life nightmare." The suspected Uter, identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, was unalived by authorities moments after shots were fired. In addition to Mr. C, there were 2 other men who were critically injured but are now in stable condition. These are the names of the 3 victims, according to the Pennsylvania State Police: Corey David Dutch, 57, James Compton-Haver, 74 years old. So 2 men in their early and late 50s and 1 in their mid-70s. The firefighter is the one whose life was lost. Representative Ronnie Jackson, R. Texas, also said Saturday on X that his nephew was among those with minor injuries at Trump's rally in Butler. On Fox News Saturday, Jackson told host Sean Hannity that a bullet had grazed his nephew's neck. He noted on X that his nephew is doing well and that his injury was not serious. U.S. Today reached out to the FBI and Secret Service for more information regarding the victims. When shots were fired, firefighter Mr. C threw his wife and daughter onto the ground to protect them. Quote, the media will not tell you that he died a real-life superhero, said Allison in a Facebook post. Quote, they are not going to tell you how quickly he threw my mom and I to the ground. They are not going to tell you that he shielded my body from that bullet that came at us. Mr. C was the best dad a girl could ask for, said his daughter. She described him as a man of God who loved Jesus fiercely and looked after the family's church and its members. A GoFundMe for the victims and their families was created by the Meredith O. I don't even know I can't even pronounce that last. A top Florida GOP fundraiser. The fundraiser, which aims to raise $1 million for those wounded and or unalive, was authorized by Trump, according to the GoFundMe. Other top donations so far include $25,000 from investor and entrepreneur John Shahidi, a Southern California native behind several companies, amongst them Shot Studios, no pun intended, described as, quote, an entertainment company that uses data to create the next digital stars. Also donating were conservative commentator Ben Shapiro, $15,000 he donated, and Florida Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who donated 10 bands, and Trump's daughter Ivanka and husband Jared Kushner, who also donated 10 grand. Other notable donors and contributions include Vivek Miss Rams, entrepreneur, former Republican presidential candidate, who donated 30 grand, and Kid Motherfucking Rock, a musician, who donated 50 grand, and Ben Black, who donated 36 stacks. Another GoFundMe was set up to support Allison after the loss of her father. Quote, Saturday night, our friend and family, Allison, lost her father due to a senseless, tragic act at the Trump rally in Butler, states the GoFundMe. The fundraiser was looking to raise $7,000, but has since raised nearly $500K to support young women. Quote, dear Allison and family, I just wanted to do something to honor your father, commented Dennis Heritage, a person who donated to the fundraiser. Quote, I hope you can find comfort in the love of friends near you and from around the world. I also hope his strong faith in Christ gives you encouragement and hope. Your family has been and is in my prayers. All right. Wow. So the man who was unalive is a firefighter. He died actually protecting and shielding his daughter and his wife. They've raised over $500K for a GoFundMe that is in support of the surviving families. That's good-hearted stuff. All right. Then Ivanka Trump, all right, courtesy of WFLA.com, has spoken out after the ooting. Okay, Ivanka Trump says that she is praying for the country after former President Trump said he was shot in the ear during a rally in Butler, PA. Quote, thank you for your love and prayers for my father and for the other victims of today's senseless violence, Trump's 42-year-old daughter said in a statement posted on social media platform X. The Secret Service said in a statement that a suspected Uda fired multiple shots from the stage from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. While Trump was delivering remarks at the campaign event, the former president was safe and being evaluated. Trump Shakir, man. Trump motherfucking Shakir. All right. So those were just some of the updates. Now, what I want to get into is this clip that I am now playing for the third time. And matter of a fact, I need not to play this clip for the third time just yet, because there is something something else that I want to share with you guys. As I get that together, I want you guys to thumbs up this video. Please share, share, share. I'm going to play a little bit of music while I find this piece of content that I need. All right, thumbs up and share, share, share. Get your snacks. Tell a friend of a friend of a friend. All right, I am back. Thank you guys for holding it down. Okay, you guys, I want to show you guys something very interesting. So this is an alleged image caught in real time showing the bullet that pierced y'all's president in his motherfucking eardrum, girl. Okay, let me actually blow this up. Okay, this is from a Twitter account by the name of Luke Kowinski. This is one of the craziest photos ever. Look at this. Isn't this remarkable? Look at that. A literal speeding bullet. And because Trump turned his head, that shit clipped his ear rather than his potato ass head. Isn't that pretty wild? Now remember, he tried to sign up for the rifle club in high school and did not make it in. So, you know, this explains why he missed. But this is wild, wild, wild. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys that. That's pretty intense, pretty intense. All right. Also, I wanted to also show you guys a image that is eerily similar and almost prophetic to what has happened to Trump. This image is circulating all over the social medias and Reddit and Twitter, etc. And it involves a image from a deck of cards that are a part of a mid-90s Illuminati card game. Well, one of the cards, eerily, I got to sneeze, y'all. Hold on. One of the cards eerily resembles, guess what? The Cheeto Man. And more eerie than that is the shriek that is going across the image on this mid-90s Illuminati card games image, because people are saying that it looks similar to the blood streaks that were across Trump's face following his injuries. Okay? Now, you guys know everybody from The Simpsons to art has always been prophetic. And that's because creativity and the prophetic mind are the same mind. This is why you can find prophecy and prophecy fulfillment, and omens and signs in the clouds, in artwork, in cartoons, in drawings, in writings, in fictional writings, etc. Because the prophetic mind and the artistic mind and creative mind are the same mind. I don't know if you guys have seen this image, but my God, it looks exactly how Trump looked when he was throwing up his "I'm black and I'm proud" fist and was saying, "Fight, fight, fight." But the shriek across his face is really what's remarkable. It's the uncanny resemblance of Trump, and a very synchronistic one considering his injuries. Okay, I wanted to also show you guys that as well, because man, it's very interesting. Okay, now I want to show you guys a clip from Joy Reid of MSNBC. You guys saw this clip yesterday. I played it, and you guys saw it, I think, the day before that when I played it. Remember in yesterday's discussion, we were talking about how the Mandate for Leadership, aka Project 2025, involves all children, all high schoolers who are attending public school, which is federally funded, are going to have to pass a military entrance exam assessment. And we were wondering, like, why in the hell would our government be wanting and desiring to pretty much draft our children into the armed forces following their high school careers? Obviously, the powers that be know something that we do not. Well, it's interesting how one prophetic hunch led to another prophetic hunch, because in yesterday's live stream, I also brought up the documentary Died Suddenly, which a lot of you guys emailed me and got the link for. A lot of you guys were filled with horror upon looking at this 1 hour and 10-minute documentary on the pandemic and the special medication that they gave to you all to treat the of it all. There was something in that documentary that absolutely answered the question yesterday of why Project 2025 would want to mandate a military entrance exam to all young people in the public school system. I want you to listen to Joy, and then I'm going to tell you something extremely shocking.
It's buried deep within Project 2025, which any person who sends their child to public school should care about. They want to mandate that all students in schools receiving federal funding must complete the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. In plain English, that's a military entrance exam. You heard me right. They want to require your kids to take a military entrance exam. If you flip to page 134 of the 900-page Project 2025 Manifesto, you'll read this proposal, and I quote, "To improve military recruiters' access to secondary schools and require the completion of the Armed Services and Vocational Aptitude Battery, the military entrance examination, by all students in schools that receive federal funding." And guess who would be exempt from that requirement since they don't get federal funds? Private school kids. Feel me now? Look, my kids are grown adults. But do you feel comfortable having your babies handed over to the military industrial complex so King Trump can use and discard them like old shell casings? Maybe sign them up to use on American streets to shoot protesters because he's promised to do that. Or use them to round up brown migrants to herd them off to the deportation camps that he's promised to build, or fight in his migrant fight club, or fight in some random war he starts to help out his friend Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un or whatever other madness he dreams up. Now, of course, Trump never mentions any of this because it's not exactly politically popular to tell the world you want to take money from poorer kids who want to go to college and take grants away from kids with disabilities and promote an education system styled on communist systems like North Korea, China, and Russia.
Okay. Now, check this out. Because yesterday, I afforded myself the opportunity to also rewatch Died Suddenly. Right after we had discussed what Joy Reid had extracted from the Project 2025 Manifesto about young people attending public schools having to subject themselves to an entrance exam for the military. Midway in that documentary, and I want you guys to listen to this very carefully, Lieutenant and Dr. Theresa Long, to the right here, who testified to the legislators of Idaho as a whistleblower who presented information that is protected communications under Title 10 USC 1034. Well, Dr. Theresa spent 15 years as a military nurse and had never seen the type of debilitating injuries and medical maladies so extreme in soldiers following the administering of the juice. Wink, wink. Coded language. What I'm about to show you are all of the diseases and injuries that Dr. Long witnessed and treated in soldiers following them taking that juice. Strokes, transient acidic attacks, pericarditis and myocarditis, erratic heart rates, arrhythmias, rapid onset of cancers, various cancers, testicular cancers, various tumors, spinal and brain tumors, thyroid dysfunction, multiple sclerosis, cognitive impairment, persistent severe insomnia, suppression of immune system, unprovoked blood clots, avascular necrosis, liver dysfunction, menstrual irregularities, which I don't know if you guys know, but Nosy Whole Live came onto my platform last year and we're speaking about how she took the juice and her menstrual cycle has been irregular ever since. Also, miscarriages. Well, when Dr. Long tried to speak to higher authorities about her observations and safety concerns, she was ignored and her career was threatened, and nothing was done to investigate the number and scope of medical adversities following the administering of said juice. Almost 1,300 reported medical adverse events or side effects of the juice have been confirmed. The average medication has a side effect range of 68 known side effects. The juice had an astounding range of 1,300, and 80% of those side effects are life-threatening and considered serious. Dr. Long and her fellow compadre, Lieutenant and Dr. Pete Chambers, who is a flight surgeon for the U.S. Army, after looking at the DMED data, which is the Defense Medical Epidemiology Database, which is a military database that houses all updates and historical feedback on diseases and medical events, hospitalizations, ambulatory visits, and reportable diseases relevant to those of military deployment, predicted, listen to this, that we won't even have a standing, functioning military in 5 years. And this, my friend, is why the powers that be are wanting to recruit and draft our kids following high school graduation. The U.S. government is expecting to see a decline in U.S. veterans and soldiers because of the impact on their personal health as a result of mandated juicing. So they have to get them young and following the new generation of youth who have likely not been subjected to the taking of the motherfucking juice. They fucked up so royally with the juice and mandating it for our soldiers out of all people that the U.S. Army also has officially repealed the juice requirements for soldiers now. Okay? You can go to the official U.S. Army website. They repeal the juice requirements because the data is the fuck out. This is beyond the beyond. There's a lot of things I want to just unpack about that, but we have so much to do today that I don't even have time. But I just want y'all to let that sit in at the smoke and mirrors and the psychological and chemical warfare of the fucking system upon the American people. And the way that they're trying to get in front of the problem, they acted like they were trying to solve through juicing every motherfucking body. Now, before we get into this mandate for leadership, we know that Biden is using the Project 2025 as a way to let the public know that these are the diabolical plans for Trump and his administration if he's in fact elected. We know that Trump has attempted to desperately denounce and to separate himself from Project 2025 and claims that he doesn't even know who the hell is behind Project 2025. Well, a CNN review found at least 140 people who worked for him are in fact hands-on in the creation of this manifesto. Donald Trump has lately made clear that he wants little to do with Project 2025, the conservative blueprint for the next Republican president that has attracted considerable blowback in his race for the White House. Quote, "I have no idea who the hell is behind it," the former president recently claimed on social media. Many people Trump knows quite well are in fact behind it. 6 of his former cabinet secretaries helped write and or collaborated on the 900-page playbook for a second Trump term published by the Heritage Foundation. 4 individuals Trump nominated as ambassadors were also involved, along with several enforcers of his controversial immigration crackdown. And about 20 pages are credited to his first duty chief of staff. In fact, at least 140 people who worked in the Trump administration had a hand in Project 2025, a CNN review found, including more than half of the people listed as authors, editors, and contributors to the mandate for leadership, the project's manifesto for overhauling the executive branch. Dozens more who staff Trump's government hold positions with conservative groups advising Project 2025, including his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and longtime advisor, Stephen Miller. These groups also include several lawyers deeply involved in Trump's attempts to remain in power, such as his impeachment attorney, Jay Sekulow, and 2 of the legal architects of his failed bid to overturn the 2020 presidential election, Cleta Mitchell and John Eastman. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And we bring that up to say that Trump is a motherfucking liar. Damn near everybody he's employed and who is affiliated and who is adjacent or directly in his administration are all the authors of this Project 2025 fucking confusion. Just want to establish that. Before we get into the deets, courtesy of democracyforward.org, Project 2025 is amongst the most profound threats to the American people. What is Project 2025? The Project 2025 Presidential Transition Project is a well-funded 8-figure effort of the Heritage Foundation and more than 100 organizations to enable a future anti-democratic presidential administration to take swift, far-right action that would cut wages for working people, dismantle social safety net programs, reverse decades of progress for civil rights, redefine the way our society operates, and undermine our economy. A central pillar of Project 2025 is the Mandate for Leadership, a 900-page policy playbook authored by former President, administration officials, and other extremists that provides a radical vision for our nation and a roadmap to implement the new world order. We read Project 2025's entire 900-page mandate for leadership so that you don't have to. What we discovered was a systemic, ruthless plan to undermine the quality of life of millions of Americans, remove critical protections, and dismantle programs for communities across the nation, and prioritize special interests and ideological extremism over people. For attacking overtime pay, student loans, and reproductive rights, to allowing more discrimination, pollution, and price gouging. Those behind Project 2025 are preparing to go to incredible lengths to create a country only for some, not for all. As a result of Project 2025, you guys, what we are realizing is that even though we as minority people know that America has never actually been great, what Make America Great Again actually is about is making America great for the few and for the elite. Okay? If these plans are enacted even without congressional approval, 4.3 million people could lose overtime protections, 40 million people could have their food assistance reduced, 220,000 American jobs could be lost, and much, much more. The stakes are higher than ever for democracy and for people. These threats aren't even hypothetical. These are their real plans. The Heritage Foundation and the 100 plus organizations that make up the Project 2025 Advisory Board have mapped out exactly how they will achieve their extreme ends. They aim to carry out many of the most troubling proposals through an anti-democratic president and political loyalists installed in the executive branch without waiting for congressional action. And while many of these plans are unlawful, winning in court is not guaranteed, given that the same far-right movement that is behind Project 2025 has shaped our current court system. To combat the threats posed by Project 2025, we have to first understand them. What follows are some of the most dangerous proposals that make up Project 2025, specifically those that could be implemented through federal agencies and a far-right executive branch. The majority of Americans share the same values and priorities, but Project 2025 wants to push an extreme, out-of-touch agenda on us all. By reading this guide and sharing it, we can begin to address these threats and go off offense towards building a bold and inclusive democracy for all people. Project 2025 snapshot proposals from Project 2025 discussed in detail throughout this guide that could be implemented through executive branch action alone. So without new legislation, include limited access to food assistance, cutting American rescue plans, rollbacks on civil rights protections, eliminating the Head Start early education, which now serves 1 million children, stop efforts to lower prescription drugs, cut overtime protections for 4.3 million workers, push more people toward Medicare Advantage and other worse private options, that's 33 million people, restrict access to medication abortion, deny students in 25 states and Washington, D.C. access to student loans because their school provides in-state tuition to undocumented immigrants, expose 368,000 children in foster care to risk of increased discrimination. Here are the contents of this 41-page breakdown of Mandate for Leadership, a Project 2025 guidepost to making your life a living hell from here on out. Project 25 would enable corporations to cut overtime pay, relax worker safety rules, allow workplace discrimination, and more. How they do it. 1. Stop people from earning overtime pay. Project 2025 wants the Department of Labor to make it harder for people to earn overtime. You know, that money that you guys use to vacation with, to splurge with, to do renovations with, you know, to enjoy the pleasures of life so that you have some balance between work and play so that you can, in fact, goddamn play. In 2024, the Biden administration issued a policy that will make over 4 million workers newly eligible to qualify for overtime pay. The U.S. Department of Labor did this by raising the overtime threshold, which is the salary ceiling under which salaried workers still qualify automatically for overtime pay if they work more than 40 hours in a week, even though those workers are not paid hourly. Raising the overtime threshold increases the number of workers with guaranteed overtime protections. Currently, the threshold protects non-hourly workers who make up to $43,000 annually, and is set to rise again in 2025 to apply to people making up to $58,000. Project 2025, though, doesn't want to raise this threshold. Instead, Project 2025 proposes lowering the threshold and taking away overtime eligibility for millions of workers. This would leave at least 4 million working people in industries that pay annually but still at lower wages, stuck working long hours without overtime pay. Everything from hospitality to manufacturing, administrative roles, and more. Cutting funding for local job creating programs. Project 2025 proposed to destroy a program that plays a pivotal role in facilitating transformative economic growth for local economies. The Economic Development Administration was responsible for investing billions of ARP dollars into transformative infrastructure programs across the nation. According to their 2022 report, these investments resulted in 220,000 jobs and generated nearly $20 billion in private investment. Project 2025 proposes the EDA grants should be consolidated with other programs and or eliminated altogether, which would undermine the ability of the federal government to invest in communities across the nation, with effects that could devastate working people, small businesses, and the overall health of our economy. Manipulate data that business rely on to keep our economy functioning. By consolidating the Bureau of Economic Analysis, Census Bureau, and Bureau of Labor Statistics, Project 2025 would kneecap the data collection capacities of these important agencies, with effects felt by working people across the nation, of course. Data compiled by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is intentionally independent from partisan interests and is frequently relied on by the public, employers, researchers, and government organizations. According to the BLS, they measure employment compensation, worker safety, productivity, and price movements. This information is used by job seekers, workers, business leaders, and others to help them to make sound decisions at work and at home. Project 2025, however, wants to consolidate the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis and Census Bureau with BLS into one agency, while former reorganization requires explicit delegation from Congress to go through. The Trump administration made an attempt in 2018 to bypass Congress and use other executive powers to do so. If an extremist were to occupy the executive branch alone, again, Project 2025 would want them to go even further this time. Politicizing BLS and reducing the data collection capacity of the agency by consolidating it into the Census Bureau would make it harder to know how our economy is in fact doing, whether families' paychecks are growing, and what steps we may need to take to make sure small businesses are thriving and that people have enough in their bank accounts to make ends meet. Weaken child labor protections. Project 2025 would omit hazard regulations to allow employers to put your young people in unsafe working conditions. The authors of Project 2025 think that young people should be able to work in inherently dangerous jobs in roles that are currently not permitted due to significant safety concerns that have long been established and enforced by the U.S. Department of Labor. Project 2025 would change DOL policies and allow America's youth to work these jobs, meaning that young people entering the labor force out of economic necessity could be subjected to more dangerous work because they need the income more than others and cannot access a safer job or get paid as well. Are you guys listening to this? Quote, in their own words, hazard order regulations. Some young adults show an interest in inherently dangerous jobs. Current rules forbid many young people, even if their family is running the business, from working in such jobs. This results in worker shortages and dangerous fields, and often discourages otherwise interested young workers from trying the more dangerous job. So they're trying to deregulate the Department of Labor as it relates to its labor laws around inherently dangerous occupational roles in the name of some overzealous young people are actually interested in these dangerous occupations, and they should be afforded to injure themselves. They should be afforded to potentially have their lives clipped because, hey, they're just interested in these dangerous jobs. So we should make all jobs available to all people of all ages, regardless of how hazardous and dangerous the job in fact is. I would assume that any dangerous job would also and should require a lot of damn experience, something that young people wouldn't be afforded because they are fresh to the job market. But once again, Project 2025 thinks that, hey, they should have their swing at it too. Make it harder for Americans to make ends meet. Oh, here our black asses go. This is the black ass section. A strong democracy is one where people have the resources they need to thrive, not worry about how they will make ends meet. Project 2025 proposals would only make daily life harder for people, with fewer people able to access food assistance and affordable early education, less support for veterans with disabilities, and cuts to support for farmers. How are they going to do it? Restrict access to food assistance. Project 2025 would make it harder for people to access food assistance by adding ineffective requirements and re-evaluating important programs. According to the research from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 86% of all supplemental nutrition assistance programs, aka them good old EBT benefits, go to households that include a child, elderly person, or a person with disabilities. And 92% of those damn EBT benefits go to households with income at or below the federal poverty line. The Thrifty Food Plan plays an important role in ensuring recipients of food assistance are able to access food that composes a balanced and nutritious diet. In tandem, the Biden administration has increased food assistance outlays to account for increased costs associated with more nutritious foods. Project 2025, however, wants to reverse course and reimpose ineffective work requirements, which recent studies have shown do not actually increase employment, but do still drive down the number of people who use food assistance. On to SNAP and reevaluate the Thrifty Food Plan. Baby, all of y'all who fall on hard times and need help every now and again, who need EBT every now and again, who need them benefits every now and again, hard times are going to be worse, bitch, in an overinflated economy. And because they don't give a damn about the prior qualifications, which were just being broke as hell, you won't even buy or be able to buy them damn stamps off of another bitch who does and is qualified for them, because even they won't be qualified for such assistance. Eliminate the Head Start program. Project 2025 would destroy a program that is critical to uplifting children. There's a lot of attack on children and the youth, who is our future, within Project 2025. Are you guys seeing that running theme? That Project 2025 are really trying to keep from producing leaders, well people, educated people, people with full bellies. It wants to make sure that the youth have no opportunity to be well enough to be educated, to have access to resources, so that those young people do not grow up to overthrow the sick-ass, diabolical-ass system that they're trying to usher in. They're trying to make sure that there's no young people with the potential to be a Luther King, to be a Malcolm X, to be a Harriet Tubman, to be a Rosa Parks, can actually rise to that full potential, honey. They're trying to starve out the youth, trying to hunger the youth, trying to induce poverty trauma into the youth, to keep the youth from, in fact, being the leaders of tomorrow. Eliminate Head Start programs. Head Start is a critical program that helps over 1 million children across the nation become ready for school by providing them with mental, emotional, and social support programming. The program provides targeted assistance to low-income children as an important method to bridge inequities and ensure that all children receive a solid foundation as they embark on their educational journey. Everything I just laid out. Project 2025, however, proposes to eliminate this program that provides mental, emotional, and social support programming. Without Head Start, families who are already struggling financially could experience even greater economic burdens as they would have to spend more on childcare and edumadamcation. Limit which disabilities qualify veterans for benefits. The authors of Project 2025 think that too many veterans qualify for disability benefits. Woo, girl. If you ever wanted a bird's eye view into the brains of the most privileged, deaf-tone, far-removed human beings on the planet, Project 2025 is your personal insight into the brain and the psychology and the mentality of the privilege of those who can in fact pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Disability benefits are often critical lifelines for veterans who become disabled as a result of their military service and can be the difference between a veteran being able to put food on the table or not. Project 2025, however, proposes to have the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs cut costs by having fewer health conditions qualify veterans for disability benefits. A proposal could greatly restrict disabled veterans' access to life-sustaining benefits. Well, so much for them wanting to, on one hand, force young people into being drafted into wars and all type of shenanigans, while also laying out within the same memorandum that they have no interest in the trauma and the injuries and into the quality of life of those youth who they were forced into armed services after they've served the agenda of these political fucking Satanists. You see how they just did that on the front end and the back end? They're going to draft our children. They want our children to be the intellectual property of the motherfucking state, and then are going to have the audacity in the same memo to tell us that they plan on not giving a fuck about them following this forced labor and this forced service. Yeah. Remove safety nets for farmers. Project 2025 thinks that farmers are receiving too much assistance. Of course they do. The people who put food on our damn tables and ensure our communities get fed are often subject to the whims of unpredictable weather patterns and market conditions. This means that while some years a farmer may be doing great, the next they could be on the brink of economic failure. That's where safety nets come in. Project 2025 wants to restrict safety nets for farmers to unusual situations, even though we know that the difficult conditions farmers experience are not unusual, but actually common. A restriction of assistance to farmers would disparately impact low-income farmers and those without extensive assets to fall back on when things go awry. These people want to bankrupt the country. Their plan to depopulate the country is literally through starving people out. Because guess what a lack of income does? Leads to stress. Stress leads to what? Disease. Disease leads to what? Early deaths. there's a domino effect as a result of putting everyday people in unnecessary, stressful circumstances, especially stress around one's livelihood. They want to cut Head Start. They want to cut food assistance programs. And they want to cut the farmers that supply that food that you spend your EBT in grocery stores purchasing. They want to make America great only for those who meet the economic, racial, and gender qualifications. They don't want a middle class and they don't want a lower class. This is some Game of Thrones shit. The world they're wanting to create is only for the tall and for the mighty. This, make no mistake about it, Mandate for Leadership Project 2025 is not solely about queer people. It's not solely about Black people. It's not solely about women. It's not solely about children. The system of the pale man is willing to eat their own as well if any of their asses fall under standard. That's how ruthless the pale man system is. This is also for pale people, not Black ass people, not indigenous ass people, not native ass people. This is for any motherfucking persons, regardless of race, regardless of orientation, regardless of sexuality, sex, gender, etc. This is a classism game. And these niggas are trying to play chess. Eliminate funding for key public transportation projects. Despite its transformational investments in communities across the U.S., the Capital Investment Grants Program is a Project 2025 target for elimination. The CIG program plays an important role in awarding federal grants to local communities in order to fund infrastructure projects. After the bipartisan infrastructure law was passed in 2021, CIG was responsible for awarding billions of dollars for key public transportation projects across the country. Project 2025 wants to eliminate CIG, which could make it harder for Americans without cars to get to work and travel around town, to work, or just to be with family and or friends. Guess what else is a part of public transportation? Subtrains, them Lyft and Uber vouchers, all those things that are funded through special initiatives. Well, Project 2025 wants to make sure that your Black ass is hungry, that your Black ass can't earn a living through a decent hourly wage or overtime, and wants to add insult to injury by making sure, baby, that you find it even more difficult to get your motherfucking ass to work at all, sending you right into a cardboard box. Restrict reproductive rights and access to healthcare. Women, pull on up. This is y'all's segment. Despite the majority of Americans supporting comprehensive healthcare and reproductive freedom, Project 2025 would prefer a far different reality, of course. Their attacks would undermine Medicare, keep prescription drug prices high, and restrict access to reproductive care. Ooh, this is going to absolutely implode on Black women. Keep the cost of life-saving medication too high. Project 2025 would undo Medicare's new ability to negotiate lower prescription prices for seniors. Medicare's new ability to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for seniors, established through the Inflation Reduction Act, will be transformative for millions of seniors in the United States. According to the Center for American Progress, these negotiations are targeting some of the most expensive drugs frequently used by seniors, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in drug costs each year. The negotiations are also critical for advancing health equity, given that many of the prescriptions targeted by the negotiations treat conditions disparately experienced by people who have historically experienced marginalization because of their race and or gender. While Project 2025's plan is to specifically instruct Congress to repeal this part of the IRA, they could also easily advise the Department of Justice to stop defending Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices in courts, where the program currently faces numerous changes. Project 2025 attacks on Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices would negatively impact millions of elderly Americans, particularly elderly people of color and those with low income. Baby, they gathering. They gathering, baby. They gathering, baby. End medication abortion use or make it incredibly difficult to access. Project 2025 would revoke approval for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, criminalize mail-in medication abortion, or even enlist the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as part of their anti-abortion efforts. Over 2 decades of medical practice show that mifepristone medication abortion is safe and effective. In fact, just last year, nearly 2/3 of all pregnant people relied on medication abortion for their abortion care. This is one of the last lifelines for millions of pregnant people across the United States, as many state governments are ramping up attacks. The anti-abortion extremists behind Project 2025, not content with merely overturning Roe versus Wade, want to attack access to medication abortion nationwide by any means necessary as well. Project 2025 would weaponize the long dormant Comstock Act to try and make the delivery of medication abortion by mail even illegal. Originally passed in the 19th century to restrict the types of things that could be mailed, the Comstock Act is today in district court Judge Robert Chambers' own words, quote, a widely abrogated 19th century statute. Despite the DOJ, the courts and Congress already making clear that Comstock Act does not apply to legal abortion care, Project 2025 plans to weaponize the DOJ and resurrect this act to ban nationwide medication abortion access. Y'all are going to have those motherfucking babies, even if it unallows Project 2025. If the authors of if it's the last thing they do, baby, if they have to die on that hill, baby, they're going to force y'all to suffer through those unwanted pregnancies. Project 2025 would have the FDA reverse approval of this safe and effective medication. Reversing federal approval of medication abortion could deprive people of essential health care, even in states where abortion remains legal. Wow. In states where abortion is banned or restricted, this would further subject people to the whims of state legislators, many of which have actively pushed or enacted abortion restrictions since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Project 2025 would further undermine medication abortion by mail by imposing unnecessary and burdensome requirements that mifepristone be dispensed in person and by a doctor. Post-Dobbs, the FDA has played an important role by allowing the distribution of mifepristone by mail and at certain pharmacies. This has allowed increased access to care, given that not everyone has the privilege of convenient in-person doctor access. If these plans were implemented, it will become harder for everyone to access abortion care, particularly, of course, low-income pregnant people and those in rural areas. In their own words, a bare minimum policy of limiting abortion pills to the pre-2016 policy of 49 days gestation, returning to the pre-2021 in-person dispensing requirement, and returning to requiring prescribers to report all serious adverse events, not just deaths, to the drug sponsor would increase women's health and safety. If all else fails, Project 2025 would turn to the EPA to apply restrictive regulations to medication abortion. Project 2025 wants an anti-democratic president to direct the EPA to classify medication abortion as containing forever chemicals, which are subject to stricter regulations. If the EPA were to classify medication abortion as a forever chemical, it would stifle the approval and distribution of medication abortion, according to Politico's anti-abortion forces plan for a Trump return. Quote, in their own words, using the EPA to classify the chemicals in abortion pill, mifepristone, as forever chemicals subject to stricter regulations. Push people toward private Medicare plans that worsen healthcare outcomes. Under the guise of allowing greater choice, Project 2025 would push policies that favor private, worse performing alternatives to Medicare. While many of the Project 2025's plans for Medicare require congressional action, they also encourage a future administration to use all possible levers, including the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, to alter this critical program however they can. Several of their proposals will push people towards private Medicare alternatives, which are not real alternatives at all, with reports showing that Medicare Advantage plans threaten rural hospitals and patients and mislead people into signing up for them. While Project 2025 may pitch these Medicare reforms as encouraging consumer choice, in reality, they will leave seniors worse off across the country, putting the health of many of the 33 million people enrolled in traditional Medicare at risk. Quote, in their own words, Medicare regulations restrict choice of coverage and care. The next administration should reintroduce and restore regulations and demonstrations from the Trump administration that were withdrawn, weakened, or never finalized by the Biden administration. Baby, I'm working, and y'all need to be thumbing up and showing the king some fucking love on Cash App and PayPal, baby. Okay? Because I'm reading through what they done read for us so that you ain't got to do it yourself, baby. You get in the Republicans' version of hell on earth. Make it easier for extremists to access personal information about patients' reproductive care. Wouldn't that be fun? Project 2025 would remove protections the Biden administration has put in place post-Dobbs to protect the personal information of people who receive reproductive care. The immediate aftermath of the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade, the Biden administration issued HIPAA guidance to ensure doctors and other medical providers and health plans know that, with limited exceptions, they are not required in many cases are not permitted to disclose patients' private information, including to law enforcement. The administration later finalized a rule to shield the medical records of patients from criminal investigations if they cross state lines to seek an abortion where it is legal. Even as extremists in Texas actively try to use the courts to access information about people receiving abortions out of state, Project 2025 claims that the Biden administration's privacy guidance is fear-mongering and would have a future administration withdraw it, as more states move to pass increasingly severe efforts to criminalize abortion. This would put medical providers and all pregnant people at increased risk, quote, in their own words. OCR should withdraw its Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act 86 guidance on abortion. OCR should withdraw its June 2022 guidance 87 that purports to address patient privacy concerns following the Dobbs decision, but is actually a politicized statement in favor of abortion and against Dobbs. So the reason why they want loose guidelines and accessibility to the particular medical records of those who have sought abortions, had an abortion, and is using abortion medication is because they plan to outlaw abortion and said medication. If they are able to illegally and or freely legally and or freely access your records, guess what? They get to put your motherfucking ass in jail. They want to lock up every woman who is using a plan B, every woman who has had an abortion, every woman who is partaking in the utilization of abortion pills, etc., girl, because they want to lock your ass up. They want to criminalize this and penalize your ass as a criminal. Okay? Enable discrimination across society. LGBT folk, pull up, honey. Threatened by decades of progress in advancing civil rights and equality for all, the authors of Project 2025 want to create a country that allows for more discrimination, where we live, study, work, and play and roll back hard-fought victories by our movements for progress. How are they going to do it? Embolden racial discrimination in everything from housing to education to employment. Project 2025 proposes that the president should remove a key tool that the federal government uses to enforce civil rights protections. Project 2025 proposes that the federal government stop the long-standing use of disparate impact in assessing discrimination by ending its use in discrimination cases and even bringing lawsuits that challenge the standards constitutionally. The disparate impact standard has long been used in determining discrimination under Title 7, 5, whatever the hell these Roman numbers are, of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Fair Housing Act of 1978. It is important for reevaluating when facially neutral programs have disparate impacts on certain groups of people. The Civil Rights Division of the DOJ determines disparate impact as does the adverse effect of the policy or practice fall disproportionately on a race, color, or national origin group. This standard provides an important remedy for DOJ and others to bring civil rights cases when groups of people have their civil rights violated in areas such as employment discrimination and fair housing. So discontinuing its use will make it harder for the federal government to enforce civil rights protections in everything from housing to education to employment. Disparate impact standards have long been ruled constitutional by the U.S. State Supreme Court, so Project 2025's attempts are baseless. In their own words, courts have ruled that even without evidence of intentional discrimination, such results might suggest discrimination. This doctrine of disparate impact could be ended legislatively or at least narrowed through the regulatory process by a future administration. They want white people to be able to keep your Hispanic and Black asses out of their workplaces, out of their communities and neighborhoods, out of their Airbnbs, out of their rentals. They want to be able to legally not have to fucking do work with you. Make it harder for historically under-resourced communities to access Medicaid, Head Start, and other government programs. Population counts can be essential to groups receiving appropriations and resources from the federal government, like Medicaid, Head Start, community mental health programs, and much more. So Project 2025's plan to undercut and or undermine the accuracy of these counts would hurt communities that have been economically marginalized. The special interests behind Project 2025 want to reverse the long-standing body of work by civil rights activists who have encouraged the federal government to collect more sophisticated data when it comes to racial and ethnic groups. which has helped ensure communities that have been historically under-resourced because of the racial demographics receive proper allocations of resources. As recently as March of 2024, the Biden administration issued a revision to Statistical Directive Number 15, which governs standards for maintaining, collecting, and presenting federal data on race and ethnicity. The revision is more accurate and useful race and ethnicity data collection across various agencies of the U.S. federal government. In their own words, review for forthcoming changes to race and ethnicity questions. The current administration has announced its intent to change data collection methods regarding race and ethnicity by combining the two questions on the decennial questionnaire and increasing the number of available options. A new conservative administration should take control of this process and thoroughly review any changes. Project 2025 would advise a future administration to hamstring these revisions by instructing the White House Office of Management and Budget to reverse them and ensure that other federal agencies are not aiding in the collection of more accurate data. This would leave historically underrepresented communities at a disadvantage when it comes to accessing critical programs we rely on every fucking day. Baby, they not only want to control the narrative, they want to control the motherfucking numbers. They want the ability to willfully warp the narrative and to warp the numbers. Undermine gender equity across the government. Project 2025 would eliminate the White House Gender Policy Council, which is key to promoting contraception, access, gender-based violence prevention, and women's health equity. Under the Biden administration, the White House Gender Policy Council has led efforts to increase access to contraception, published the National Plan to End Gender-Based Violence, and begun groundbreaking research into how women's health is studied across the country. Project 2025, however, would immediately disband the council and prioritize coordinating efforts that push for promoting life and emphasize a narrow vision of what defines a family. Wow. Allow more discrimination against LGBTQ plus youth and adoption and foster care agencies. Project 2025 would make it easier for state and child welfare agencies, which are charged by the public to provide appropriate care for children, to cite religious exemptions as a way to promote bigotry. In 2022, more than 368,000 children were enrolled in foster care in the U.S. Project 2025 would instruct the Department of Health and Human Services to repeal a 2016 regulation that provides additional protections for foster youth related to sexual orientation and gender identity, enabling adoption and foster care agencies to subject vulnerable children to the whims of extreme religious beliefs would be detrimental to the physical, mental, and emotional health of fostered adopted youth, especially LGBTQ plus youth who are already dealing with intense adversities. Put Black communities and others that have historically borne the brunt of health impacts from population and other environmental harms at increased risk. Moderators, please allow people to sound off. I want a free-flowing chat. People can be oppositional. People can have their feelings and thoughts. This is not an echo chamber. So just make sure that y'all are encouraging folk to do their thing. Let folk do their thing. Just long as, they not doing nothing that is worthy of being banned, but this is a free-form platform. So we like all parties in the buildings, honey. Pro, faux, and everything in between. Project 2025 proposes to eliminate the EPA's Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights. EPA's newly created Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights is the agency's dedicated office for ensuring that environmental and public health policies are crafted and implemented in ways that ensure no communities are left behind or disproportionately harmed. Eliminating this office would put the communities that have historically borne the brunt of harms from pollution, climate change, and other hazards, which are too often Black and brown communities, at increased risk. Enable discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity by misinterpreting Supreme Court precedent and allowing more religious exemptions. Project 2025 would roll back protections against discrimination against LGBTQ plus people and others in the workplace. LGBT plus Americans have had to fight for protections under the law, and in recent years, we have witnessed important gains, including the U.S. court's confirmation of federal protections in the workplace, which logically extend to other areas like healthcare and schools. Yet Project 2025 wants to reverse this progress. Project 2025 plans to restrict the application of a critical 2020 Supreme Court case called Bostock versus Clayton County that assures workplace protections for LGBTQ plus people through making clear that discrimination against LGBTQ plus people is a form of sex discrimination prohibited by our federal civil rights laws. Project 2025 would try to enable greater workplace discrimination through allowing employers to impose their religious or moral beliefs on their employees. Talk about the hetero agenda. Talk about the natural born supremacy. Talk about the Christian agenda. Y'all so into the gay agenda, baby. Let's get into the Christian agenda. Let's get into the hetero. Let's get into the bio agenda. Additionally, the Biden administration has helped to ensure protections from gender identity discrimination across many aspects of our lives, including healthcare, housing, education, credit and lending services, and community safety programs. Project 2025, however, would roll back and severely limit those protections and leave already vulnerable people at an increased risk for discrimination when trying to rent an apartment and go to school and more. So they're trying to roll back civil rights protections for Black and brown people, for minority people, and certainly for LGBT folk. They want to give the privileged and the non-Black and the non-LGBT the legal right to once again not have to hire you, not have to rent to you, not have to sell to you, okay? This is open, legalized bigotry and discrimination. Set polluters loose and undo climate action. My God, today. We've waited decades for meaningful and robust federal action to combat climate change and protect people from the harms of pollution. Project 2025 couldn't care less about these threats. And now they want to destroy our hard-fought gains, make our air dirtier again, and worsen climate change. Project 2025 would make it even harder for the EPA to take action against climate change by attacking the endangerment finding. Let me shout out to my donors, my auntie for the old nasty piece. A child support, baby. Trisha coming through on the come through, baby. Bless your heart, Auntie Trisha. My God, today, bless you. My God, London, thank you, baby. Fearfully, wonderfully made boutique. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. Y'all are the reason, honey, why I'm pushing through, honey. Okay. Thank y'all. God bless y'all for real. That just made my work day. You guys know all discrimination. I'm reading too much discriminatory shit, girl. All donation information is in the scroll. My moderators usually rotate shit. $ Consciouztv on Cash App, and on PayPal is paypal.me/Consciouztv, spelled just how it is right here on the channel. All right. They want to make our air dirtier. Much of what the EPA does is tied to the endangerment finding, which is, according to the Natural Resources Defense Council, requires the EPA to take action under the Clean Air Act to curb emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and 4 other heat-trapping air pollutants from vehicles, power plants, and other industries. Project 2025, however, wants to establish a system to update the 2009 endangerment finding. According to the NRDC, updating the endangerment finding means restricting the federal government's mandate to combat climate change in order to advance the public health and welfare of the American people and our land. Jesus. Project 2025. If Project 2025 were successful in getting the federal government to update the endangerment finding, it could become much harder for the EPA under the Clean Air Act to take measures to combat greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and other harmful effects of climate change. Because what they really want to do is push capitalism forward. They want to give manufacturers, they want to give institutions and businesses the opportunity to fuck up the planet in the name of money, 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 honey. Okay? If we need to mass produce without being regulated, because all that matters is money, not necessarily the condition of the planet, the air, as if we ain't got to live on this motherfucker. Okay? That ain't important, baby. Only capitalism is significant, baby. Anything in the name of capitalism. That's why they have in God we trust on the dollar damn bill, because that is the God of the system, baby. The green motherfucking giant. Shout out to my baby mother Star for the old nasty piece of Cash App. For thanks for breaking it down, baby, because we're working, honey. We're working over here. We're working. My God. They want to fuck. Ooh, baby. They just want to. It's like a demolition project. It's like a play-by-play of how to systematically break down not only society, but to literally break down and unalive the entire fucking planet while we're at it. Is this why Elon Musk trying to take these hoes to the moon and shit? Do they just plan on turning the goddamn earth into a big ass warehouse, but know that it's going to come at the cost of fucking the quality of life up for all human beings, girl? So they out here trying to create a hydro collider so they can jump dimensions and shit when the earth just implodes. They're out here trying to colonize the damn moon and Saturn and shit, girl, because they know what all this buffoonery is leading to. Okay, they want to systematically break down society. Children included don't give a damn about the children. Don't want there to be a future that involves any of them having the nerve to grow up and be revolutionary and overturn the goddamn system. But they got a personal vendetta against Mother Earth too. This is how you know that the people that are running the world, it's not just about greed. These people are actually Luciferian. These people actually hate God. They're anti-life. They're anti-nature. We're talking about man being in cahoots with ancient principalities and spiritual forces that have been long at war with the Father, Son, and the Holy Daughter. Since the beginning of motherfucking time, the roosters are coming back to crow, baby. And the agenda of hell is being symbolically personified through all of this politicizing and revisions that really is ultimately the New World Order. Okay? They want to cut off weather, ocean, and climate data by disbanding NOAA. Project 2025 would disband the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, which provides critical weather data and insightful scientific research. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration plays a critical role in helping us understand the effects of human behavior on the world's oceans and atmospheres. NOAA issues daily weather forecasts, severe storm warnings, and more. It also monitors the climate, manages fisheries, restores coastal environments, and supports marine commerce. According to NOO, the agency's products and services support economic vitality and affect more than 1/3 of America's gross domestic product. Additionally, NOAA's reports have made important discoveries about the effects of climate change. NOAA's expertise is frequently relied on by the federal agencies to understand how they can respond to and adapt to climate change. The proposal to disband NOAA would leave federal agencies unequipped to combat climate change, not to mention deprive scientists, businesses, and public of key data. In their own words, the NOAA should be dismantled as many of its functions eliminated, sent to other agencies, privatized, and or placed under control of states and territories. And they want to do that so that we have no way of measuring the environmental damage that their capitalism is doing to the planet. It's just another way to evade accountability from the injuries they're trying to cause to the planet in the name of greed, in the name of Luciferianism, in the name of capitalism. Did I read this already? Let me see. Oh, hold on. Okay. Transfer environmental funding away from mission-based entities to state regulators who in many cases do not support sustainable policies. Project 2025 seeks to undo progress made through the Inflation Reduction Act by any means necessary. The IRA creates the ambitious and expansive investment in climate action and infrastructure development and is a top target of Project 2025. Even without new legislation, Project 2025 advocates a shift climate-related IRA funds away from mission-based organizations with subject matter expertise and toward state regulatory entities. This would, in our estimation, allow state leaders not committed to climate sustainability or those who deny climate change altogether to misuse funds in a way that would set back climate action. They want our heads, bitch. This is like DEFCON 2.0 to the global inhabitants, baby. The way that they're trying to create a fourth wall to shield themselves while they usher in the apocalypse for the rest of us, they don't want us to even see this coming. That's basically what all this rollback is on the NOAA, etc. is they don't even want us to see it coming. They want it to come out of left field. They want the thunder and the lightning and the meteorites to fall over Sodom and Gomorrah, girl, and give you no chance to flee with your children, give you no chance to change what could have in fact been prevented. They want you deaf, dumb, without EBT, no civil protections, leading to open discrimination on your black skin, on your LGBT orientation, on your gender orientation. And they essentially want you politically and economically blind. They essentially want you legally blind. Everything that gives us sight in this system, which are a lot of these programs that Biden administration has pushed and put into place, they want them removed. They want our binoculars removed. They want our protections and force fields removed. Anything that gives us awareness, anything that gives us access to the data, any bridges that do that. They want to roll back all of that Biden administration provided to put us essentially back in the Stone Ages. This is a intentionality into dumbing down the American people. This is a systemic and intentional agenda to get us to also play right into our journey to the slaughterhouse without us even knowing it. They want to eliminate any possibilities of us being able to assess our own behavior, assess the behavior of the powers that be and the corporations that be and the overhead. They want to remove all of that insight, all of that accessibility. Expand offshore oil and natural gas drilling on public lands and waters. Project 2025 would push the Department of the Interior to allow oil and natural gas lease sales to the maximum extent permitted. The groups behind the mandate for leadership want to conduct offshore oil and natural gas lease sales to the maximum extent permitted. This section of the mandate for leadership was written by William Perry Pentley, a former president administration official who had to rescue himself from dozens of matters before the Bureau of Land Management while he was leading it due to flagrant conflicts of interest as the former president of a special interest organization that called for the widespread transfer of federal public lands to private holders. Not only that, Pentley has referred to climate science as junk science and likened the existence of climate change to unicorns. Once again, this is a way to fuck up the planet in the name of greed and capitalism, while trying to mythologize climate control, while trying to mythologize climate science. All that shit about the ice caps breaking off, rising sea levels, polluted air, all of that shit about the ozone layer, the death of our sun. It's just myths. You're imagining that. Even though if you're just an everyday person who has lived since the 80s, you've literally experienced the change in climate. You've experienced the difference between the previous summers of your childhood and the summers of today. The winters of your childhood and the winters of today. I didn't even know we had a winter last year. That's how summery it was. We had a few cold days. You can't even tell the damn difference. And when you can tell the difference, like right now, it's summer, bitch, it's to the extreme. They want to remove all of that and put the science in the numbers of hands of people like Mr. Pentley who are not in the business of telling us the truth. Once again, this is about being deaf. This is about being dumb. This is about being sheep. The proposal would allow for fossil fuel companies to drill on more public lands and waters, undoing progress made by the current administration to decrease this harmful practice. In their own words, conduct offshore oil and natural gas lease sales to maximum extent permitted under the 2023-2028 lease program 34, with the possibility to move forward under a previously studied but unselected plan alternative. So these systems in place to keep us from doing the most. Once again, they want those systems removed. They don't give a fuck about the planet. They want to be able to dry up all of the goddamn resources, colonize every part of the goddamn planet, be unregulated, be unrelentless, be unmerciful in doing so. They want to remove your access to the data so that you can't calculate the damage either. And then they want to use you in a dummy state to be a crash dummy for the capitalism. that they are headstrong in. My God. Make education unaffordable, of course, and of course unwelcoming, baby. Make that shit as unattractive, as uninteresting as possible, because they need you dumber than dumber than dumber than dumber than dumber, baby. They want your phones to be smarter than you. They want your tablets. They want our beepers to be more intelligent than us, baby. They want us to want everything else to be intelligent but our damn selves. Our public schools. Hold on, I need a swish. Hold on. All right, our public schools are foundational to our democracy. When special interests undermine public schools, they undermine the ability of students from all backgrounds to learn, feel safe in their community, and develop skills and knowledge that enable students to thrive. If Project 2025 has their way, our public schools could be stripped of funding, protections for students, and high-quality curricula. Cut federal loan programs that help parents of college students, graduate students, and immigrants afford higher education. Project 2025 would roll back federal student loan programs that are critical to ensuring higher education is not reserved for only the wealthy and well-connected, okay? Because those student loans help minority people, underclass people to access higher education, to go to community college, to go to a university, to go to HBCUs, etc. At the cost of higher education soars in the country, accessible and stable student loans are a critical way to ensure that people from all backgrounds can access higher education. The special interest behind Project 2025 wants to kneecap the federal government's provision of student loans, taking away the ability of parents of college students to take out Parent Plus loans, graduate students to take out Graduate Plus loans, and undocumented immigrants to take out federal loans entirely. This would devastate the futures of millions of college students. The agenda to make your ass dumb again. They would also deny loan access to students at schools that provide in-state tuition to undocumented immigrants. That means that students in 25 states currently and Washington, D.C. will not be able to access student motherfucking loans. But yet they want America to be absolutely great again. My ass. Making public schools even more dangerous for LGBT plus students. Project 2025 would have the Secretary of Education remove a host of protections for LGBTQ plus students in schools. Public schools are already dangerous for LGBT plus students across the nation, especially LGBTQ plus students of color. Project 2025 would make matters even worse by directing a future Secretary of Education to renege the Biden administration's expanded title, whatever the fuck that Roman number is, protections for LGBT plus students, and reinstate the regressive rules previously imposed by the Trump administration. Project 2025 emphasizes that any definition of sex under title, etc., should mean only biological sex assigned at birth. These actions threaten to put transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students at risk, particularly where their gender identity doesn't correspond with their sex assigned at birth. In their own words, on its first day in office, the next administration should signal its intent to enter the rulemaking process to restore the Trump administration's title, etc. regulation, with the additional insistence that sex is properly understood as a fixed biological fact. Official notice and comment should be posted immediately. Well, sex is fact. Gender is subjective. Push ideology onto funding for international business programs. Project 2025 wants to dictate what students learn in higher education by disproportionately funding programs that push an ideological agenda that they agree with. And trying to dictate what people can and cannot learn, the special interest authors behind Project 2025 want to direct funding to international business programs that teach their preferred subjects, with nearly half at minimum of Department of Education funding going to these programs. These programs are geared towards providing students a better understanding of markets across the world in all different forms. Make it easier for charter schools to discriminate against LGBT plus students. Project 2025 would loosen data collection requirements for charter schools, undoing recent progress made by the Biden administration, which has ensured the data collection better includes transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students. Data collection that better includes people across gender identities and sexual orientations is important for ensuring LGBTQ plus students' civil rights are protected. During the Biden administration, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights has required all charter schools to enhance the accuracy of student demographic data collection by requiring that schools provide non-binary as an option for self-selection. Additionally, in 2021, OCR instructed charter schools to retire collection of data that presents purely binary depictions of the composition of school sports teams, making that data demographics of these teams were regulated to strictly male and female at the exclusion of non-binary and gender non-conforming students. Project 2025 would advise the Department of Education to renege these changes and issue a new civil rights data collection instructive that will collect data directly relevant to OCR's authority. Quote, in other words, that would mean only the data that Project 2025's authors think are valid, which excludes LGBT plus students. Without this data, it will be harder to know where LGBTQ plus students are experiencing discrimination, allowing it to fester and harm people across the country. They want to destroy any type of census, baby, so that Black people, that Black and brown people can't identify discrimination, can't really argue and contest discrimination. They want to legalize open discrimination. They want to do the same thing for LGBT folk, particularly LGBT folk of color, but LGBT folk as a whole. They want to eliminate access to census and data that would reflect where those discriminations are, what those discriminations are, and while wanting to also openly legalize said discrimination against all these special groups, all of these minority groups of people. I've been telling y'all forever that we've been in this shit together the whole time. So the beautiful thing about the Mandate for Leadership, aka Project 2025, aka extreme right-wing conservatives mandate to hell on fucking earth, girl, is the fact that it proves especially what colored LGBT folk have been saying all along, especially to our own kind, whether that be women, whether that be Black people, whether that be Black men, is that we all in this shit together. They don't want none of us. And the little bit of rights that LGBT people have predominantly pertain to the white LGBT sector of the community and not the melanated sector of the community, who's still just being treated like niggas at the end of the day. This is what this memorandum is very clear about. If there's anything that we should take away from this memo, is that we're all, as Black people in this shit together, and anybody who poor, middle, and lower class are all in this shit together. We all in Noah's Ark together, baby. This shit right here is going to transcend gender and transcend orientation and transcend color. Undermine government's ability to deliver. Oh, let me shout out to my baby mother, Lorda, for the old nasty piece of child support check on period. Thank you. Undermine government's ability to deliver for people. Wow. Civil servants are federal employees who work and live in all 50 states, the more than 2 million people who keep our air clean, water safe, consumers protected, and mail delivered. Attacks on the nation's civil service are attacks on the government's ability to work for the people. Replace nonpartisan federal employees with partisan loyalists. Project 2025 would have a future president reissue the Trump administration Schedule F executive order to make it easier to fire federal fucking employees. I'm gonna need y'all to thumbs up the video, baby. Thumbs up those videos. Moderators, please get everybody the thumbs up the video. We are working over in this bitch. And y'all already know, YouTube girl, they don't be interested in these type of teachings. So we need y'all to thumb it up, 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 and share it out. Civil servants deliver our mail, keep our air and water clean, and protect consumers from abuse. President Trump's executive order 13957, Schedule F, attempted to remove critical protections for millions of these federal employees so that it would be easier for him and his cronies to fire them. If Schedule F were to be reinstated, these functions could be in the hands of partisan loyalists instead of qualified experts. Firing civil servants at will simply because they're not hyper-partisan or extreme enough would be a disservice to the millions of Americans who depend on federal workers and the services they deliver every single day. Democracy Forward submitted a comment on behalf of 27 organizations in support of the Biden administration's final rule, in addition to other supportive comments that proactively creates additional protections for the nation's civil service and provides an important safeguard against a potential and anti-democratic administration. Wow. I mean, what's next, bitch? Legalizing pigeons and dropping off our fucking mail? Having goddamn ostriches and shit delivering our damn babies to the porch? Democracy Forward sent a letter on behalf of 27 organizations in support of the Biden administration's final rule. In addition to other supportive comments that proactively creates an additional protections for the nation's civil service and provides an important safeguard against a potential anti-democratic administration. In their own words, the Trump administration issued Executive Order Schedule F to make career professionals in positions that are not normally subject to change as a result of a presidential transition, but who discharge significant duties and exercise significant discretion in formulating and implementing executive branch policy and programs, in exception to the competitive hiring rules and examinations for career positions under a new Schedule F. And it ordered the director of OPM and agency heads to set procedures to prepare lists of such confidential policy determining, policy making, or policy advocating positions and prepare procedures to create exceptions for civil service rules which careerists hold such positions, from which they can relocate back to the regular civil service after such service. The order was subsequently reversed by President. Forced career experts out of government by relocating federal agencies. While the vast majority of civil servants already live and work outside of the Washington, D.C., Project 2025 still proposed to relocate D.C. base office in an effort to box out long-serving, nonpartisan experts. Of the 2.2 million federal employees, most already do not work in Washington, D.C. Still, we know that many of our nation's foremost experts in their respective fields are situated in D.C., serving the American people every day at federal agents. In 2019, the Trump administration relocated the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, resulting in 77% of the Bureau's employees resigning from their positions because they would have had to fucking move to Colorado, essentially. If federal agencies are relocated without thoughtful consideration and public input, critical agencies could lose major sets of their labor force, limiting the ability of the federal government to deliver for the people it is meant to serve. In their own words, BLM headquarters belongs to the American West. The Trump administration's decision to relocate BLM headquarters from Washington, D.C. to the West was the epitome of good governance. This is their motherfucking way of pushing people out and literally getting their people the fuck in. Okay? And I gotta give it to them, baby. This is some clever shit here. This is clever, 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 clever shit. I mean, these people really think that they are the smartest crayons in the book. And they really have sat down to map this shit out. This is what we should be doing as a community. You see how these people have a plan, a play-by-play? You see how these motherfucking people are literally got plans, got strategies, girl. Okay, they are accounting from the beginning, the end, and the damn middle. And we can't even decide if we're going to Trader Joe's together today. This is why white America and privileged America gets ahead. These people are patient. These people are immense planners. This is why they've been successful when colonizing the fucking globe. Because they're not impulsive people. They're not disorganized ass people. They don't just impulsively jump out of the fucking window. These people have sat back and planned this shit for years. They do soft landings. They do aggressive pushing when need be. They have a collective ebb and flow. What we got? The manosphere. Okay. Administer ideology, biased, or discriminatory tests for federal workers. Project 2025 would issue problematic civil service tests for prospective federal employees. The special interests behind Project 2025 want to create their own pipeline for important roles within our federal government, and they already created a personnel database for those who would like to be considered for positions during a future administration. Registration for this database includes a questionnaire which evaluates candidates through ideologically biased questions. My God, today. They would also utilize legislative or regulatory processes, including through the Office of Personnel Management, to reinstate the usage of general intelligence tests, which have not been in use since the Carter administration. At the time, civil rights groups contended that the general intelligence exam used to hire for certain agency positions was discriminatory. After a class action lawsuit alleging employment discrimination led to a consent decree, Carter administration officials abolished the use of the exam for hiring. Judging prospective candidates for federal employment in ideological or discriminatory ways is a dangerous way to govern. People across the U.S. depend on federal employees every day, and replacing experts with partisan loyalists would be a tremendous disservice. In their own words, Pillar 2 is a personnel database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and or coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president's-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. Meddle with national security by altering security clearances. Project 2025 would remove all civil servant security clearances and politicize the granting of clearances. Okay. Fuck the people who technically qualified to enter the building. Long as we can argue if a person deserves to get access to protected information, federal information, to declassified documents, girl. Long as we can, argue a good argument for why anybody should be able to have them at any given time, whoever that may be at the time. We prefer that, rather than the people who work within the military, rather than the people who work within these branches who have rightfully so, rightful clearance. Security clearances are typically revoked according to a formal process that does provide some due process rights for those whose clearances are revoked. Project 2025, however, would encourage a future administration to remove IC employees under vague criteria that risk increased politicization. In addition to revoking clearances, Project 2025 would empower the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency to expedite the issuance of security clearances to those deemed necessary to meet the administration's mission needs. Expediting the issuance of security clearances paves way for more unqualified and inept leaders to be charged with our nation's most sensitive national security matters. Take Jared Kushner, when two national expert security specialists refused to issue him a clearance due to concerns of foreign influence over him. The Trump administration overruled their expertise and gave him one any damn way. Not surprising, right? Ain't this was the same president that was showing unclassified documents to authors and journalists and took a bunch of shit home he shouldn't have, girl, and was just passing out the unclassified information like they were damn Uno cards. In their own words, the president should immediately revoke the security clearances of any former directors, deputy directors, and or senior intelligence officials who discuss their work in the press and or social media without prior clearance from the current director. The threats from Project 2025 do not end here. This people's guide only begins to catalog the people and communities who would be harmed if a future presidential administration begin to implement Project 2025 proposals. Businesses and this hair is like itching my damn nose. Businesses and industry across the country could be harmed, not just from the lack of data collection discussed above, but also from the proposals to politicize the Federal Reserve or to restrict free trade. Our country's national security itself, too, is threatened by proposals to concentrate military decision-making, further undermine our intelligence agencies, or promote isolationist policies. We continue to analyze these policies and their harms to people and expect to release undated versions of the People's Guide with reports on the threats that would make it harder to run a business, put our security at risk, and more. That is the 41-page breakdown from democracyforward.org, who condensed a 900-plus page manifesto. What are y'all thoughts? Do we need an after show? Because I'm not going to drop the link. I think that this show been long enough. But I will start another stream if you guys want to discuss. There it is laid out. All y'all who voting for Trump, there you go. I'm sure y'all asses are not upper class. I'm sure most Americans have some type of a health defect, some type of a medical defect, baby. Essentially, the manifesto just showed and proved why there should be no motherfucker voting for Trump ass this coming election. Oh, okay, so we're doing an after show. You just got to click the link. I drop it and you just follow the instructions after you click it and it'll lead you into the stream. It's a very user-friendly situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the show out. I'm going to open the after show to discuss Project 2025. You guys can hit the link. Come and sound the fuck off, baby. They want your children in the military because doctors do not expect us to have a working, functioning, healthy military in 5 years due to the juice, bitch. The juice done fucked up so many soldiers. So many soldiers are dead or chronically disabled as a result of the juice. So they need our young people, baby, to be the new generations of war soldiers. They got it going on. And it's manifested out. Thumbs up, up, share. I see you guys in 2 minutes. Bye.